To be honest, Scott was a little bit average, but then I came along and now he's terrific.
Scott Jennings, you've all seen him, y'all know him, y'all love him. That conservative who owns the libs on CNN has the crowd roaring into applause as he tells them a personal story with him and Donald Trump. Folks, I think you're gonna like this. It gives you some good insight into Scott Jennings, you know, his kind of changing views within the Republican Party, how he viewed conservative politics, that kind of thing. I think you're gonna like it. So we're gonna get right into it. But first, do me a huge favor here, like our video and share it around so we can keep bringing you all this great hard-hitting content. And as always, Patriots, I'm your host, Darian, and this is Resist the Mainstream.
Let me talk about President Trump for a few minutes. Actually, let me just tell you a quick story. I actually met him for the first time in February. It's funny, he's dominated almost my entire professional existence for the last decade and all my conversations, but I hadn't met him until February. So I went over to the Oval Office to pitch him on a book idea, which I'm happy to report is now available for pre-order. The Revolution of Common Sense is the title. If you have $30, there it is. You can pre-order it right now. Why aren't you pulling out your phones? I don't understand. If Tim Walz can do it, you can do it. Pull out your phones. Put as many zeros as you'd like in the quantity box.
Does anybody else notice how common this common sense theme seems to be? We, of course, have Common Sense by Thomas Paine, right? Everybody knows that book. Then later on, you have the radio legend Rush Limbaugh, who wrote a book called The Way Things Ought to Be. And then, of course, Common Sense, once again, but this time by Glenn Beck. And now this Common Sense book by Scott Jennings. Seems there's a common theme here. Can't help but notice it.
So I go into the Oval Office to see the president. I hadn't been in there since 2008 when George W. Bush was in office, so open the door. Almost the entire cabinet is in there. I walk in and he looks up from the Resolute desk and he says, "You look terrific." I mean, you look good on TV, but in person, you look terrific. Have a seat. So I plop down on the couch next to Scott Bessent, the Secretary of the Treasury. Does everybody here know Scott? He's like our best guy. Scott, tell Marco what you would do about the Panama Canal. If you have $30, you can read the rest. To be honest, Scott was a little bit average, but then I came along and now he's terrific. The whole time I was sitting there, I was thinking, I don't know who in the hell was running the country the last 4 years, but I sure as hell know who's running it right now. But I have to admit, I did not get it at first. My dad actually was the first person to tell me that Donald Trump would be the next president, way back in early 2015. My dad.
Legend.
The garbage man. The sometimes factory worker. The union Democrat. The old blue dog. And of course, I laughed at him, just like everyone else who'd been trained to believe that the political status quo was ultimately unshakable. But he was right and I was wrong. And I think about that conversation with my dad a lot because I was so certain, arrogant, really. But he was right and I was wrong.
It's really incredible how many people just didn't see that coming, including many Republicans, by the way. Now, to the credit of many people in the GOP, a lot of them, got on board later with Trump, realized they'd been kind of duped and lied to by the media about who he is, what he stands for, what he says, that sort of thing. And many of them actually kind of shifted their policy, I suppose, views to actually support, oh, hey, yeah, maybe we should actually lessen immigration, both legal and illegal, or at least originally. Now it seems there's a mass migration thing. That's a whole nother conversation. But at a bare minimum, illegal immigration and being opposed to that and trying to find a real solution to stop it. The Democrats, on the other hand, pitched a fit and blamed racism, which is so ridiculous, all right? Because a lot of these people who came and ultimately gave Trump his victory in both 2016 and 2024, dare I say 3 times and include another year? I don't know. A lot of those people actually put Obama into office twice, all right? Many of them, in fact, the majority, white Americans. And you're gonna sit here and call them racist? It's just so ridiculous. And how did Obama repay those people who put him in the office back then? Well, he basically just said they're a bunch of racist, stupid hicks and gun nuts who are way too obsessed with religion. Do that clip.
People have been beaten down so long, and they feel so betrayed by government.
Well, it's not surprising then that they get bitter and they cling to guns or religion or antipathy towards people who aren't like them, or a way to explain their frustrations.
Ugh, I cannot stand Barry. What an annoying guy.
And thank God that he was right and I was wrong. From that point forward, it's incredible what's happened in our politics, in our culture, and in our country. Everything I thought I knew about politics changed. One of the reasons I think Trump has been successful is that he has given millions of people who think they have no voice the feeling that someone finally speaks for them in the way that they would speak if they were handed the microphone. No longer do people expect their politicians to speak perfectly. They want their politicians to speak authentically. Trump's new coalition contains millions of people who aren't connected to either party. People who have no interest in being labeled Democrat or Republican, but a lot of interest in feeling like they're just supporting plain old common sense.
And that right there is the key thing to remember as to why Trump did get elected the times he did. He preached a message of supporting the forgotten Americans, something that so many politicians just seem to have forgotten about or just don't care about.
I traveled with the president to Michigan aboard Air Force One on April 29th, his 100th day in office. Trying to finish this book. So he takes me to Michigan to observe the 100th day. At the rally that night in Macomb County, Michigan, he summed it up. The last 14 weeks is really just a restoration of common sense when you think about it. Whether you're right or left or whatever the hell you are, that's all it is. Just common sense. The crowd roared. And then he did the most unexpected thing. He called me up on the stage. We've got this guy. Where's Scott? Oh, this will be the end of Scott on CNN. Don't worry, Scott. If they fire you, we'll take care of you. I'm like 150 feet away from the stage, so I start jogging up there. And the whole time I'm thinking, I got to keep this short and keep it funny. So I said, people of Michigan, when we were flying in here, I was admiring all your farms. Maybe I'll get a farm in Michigan, because when you own as many libs as I do, you got to have a place to put them all. Trump, who is also, in addition to being president, the greatest stand-up comedian working today, approved of the joke and laughed and shook my hand and ushered me off the stage.
Folks, that wraps up Scott Jennings' story about Trump and their personal interactions. What'd you think? I hope you liked it. I personally did. It's always fun hearing about Trump interact with these people personally. And something that you see as a common theme is he's always the same kind of friendly, joking guy that people love him for. So pretty cool. With all that being said, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. As always, comment below. Let us know what you liked, what kind of stuff you want to see next, and hit that subscribe button. And that way we'll be sure to see you again soon. God bless.